The following podcast is part of the MindBodySpirit.fm podcast network.
Wholeness means to me being in a state of joy.
Wholeness means feeling complete, owning my authentic gifts.
Wholeness is really connected. Everything is connected to everything.
Wholeness is where we have access to all parts of ourselves.
So here is the card I picked today. This is a card deck called Healing Stones.
Ooh.
It's kind of cool. And so this is rock crystal. And I thought this was so good because listen to what it says about rock crystal.
Okay.
It's healing, and it's a heritage and healing power rock. It owns its name to the Greek crystallos, which means ice. The Greeks considered rock crystal to be frozen ice. The stone was used as an energy and power booster. That's perfect for what we're talking about today. It conveys clarity and purity. Rock crystal brings your inner truth to light. Its clarity guides the way to aim in your life. The stone will guide you to your inner core for whatever you are lacking. Rock crystal will compensate for it. It will settle your thoughts and help to act at the right time. The stone will generally boost the effects of all other stones. If, for example, you wear rock crystal and aventurine, the effect of aventurine will be more influential many times over. Let's see. So it's like an energy booster. I don't know if this is the same as like
What is
just
rock crystal?
quartz. I know, like, is it just saying crystal quartz? Because I think that's the same thing as crystal quartz. But it's funny. It works well with a Gemini. Gemini's and there you go.
Is that it? That's quartz, I think.
I think so, right? I think so. Like, here's the picture. I mean, it looks like that clear quartz to me. It's just clear.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they call it, apparently they call it rock crystal, but yeah, like in most our phones and our watches and everything have crystal quartz in them because it boosts the power. It literally does. It's a power booster.
Oh. So it's kind of like frankincense, because frankincense doesn't amplify every other oil you put it with. So
yeah, probably. Yeah, that's right. That's the rock version. So that's interesting. But all right, what are we talking about today?
All right, we're talking about power.
Power.
And yes, and we're trying to decide if we're talking about personal power or power in general. So maybe our discussion will kind of lead us and give us a title, maybe a little bit of what we're talking about. So yeah, I guess power to me can look scary and can look empowering.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess Michelle's going to talk a little bit about maybe some of the solar plexus that will maybe define it a little bit for us.
Yeah, to kind of start out, like the solar plexus is known as the power chakra, so I thought that's a good place to look. And a quick definition of what this is, the solar plexus chakra governs the fire element within you. It is your strength, your vitality, your ego, your willpower, your stamina, your inner power. And so I think to me, that's really interesting, because sometimes when I think of, I assume that when we think of power, it like has everything to do with our relationship with the outside world. But I think power is more inner. I think it's more of an inner experience than it is this relation to someone else. Because I think that's like competition or hierarchy, power play, those kind of things. But I feel like that's different than this personal power or really having power. I think power is different. The real power is different.
You were saying that, I was just thinking that, we want to exert power over our environment, but when we do have that inner power, it can't help but affect our environment.
Right.
So they both kind of do the same thing, but it feels different.
Right. It feels different. You're right. Yeah. Yeah. I love the way you put that. Yeah. If I really am in touch with this inner power, I actually influence my outer world better than this outward power that wants to control and make it the way I want. but isn't it so tempting to do the other? It's so
Yes.
tempting. Like it's right there for me. It's like, can everybody just do what I need them to do and then I'll feel okay, or everything will be just right. But it, and so it's a journey and it's a practice to have that inner power, and we'll swing from one end to the other. But if we can define it, which is what we're trying to do today, maybe that will help us be able to connect with it during those kind of difficult times, during those times that we're maybe feeling that a little bit. And that's the first step, I think, is to feel the difference when we're acting from that other place of a little bit of outer control. Because then what that means is that we're really feeling some powerlessness. We're actually feeling powerless. And so what do we need to get back some of that inner power? And it could be a million things, but that's the hardest part, is to pause, and recognize that experience.
So then, like, how do you get to the powerlessness state? Is it just being literally out of control, or is it all circumstances, or is it all internal? Like, how do we get to that out of control place?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I think you've got the answer, like either worrying about the future or regret in the past. I think those two things bring up that powerlessness at all, because we are powerless to affect the future and change the past. And that's, what I mean? We only have this minute. So as soon as we get out of the present moment, we lose some power. We become a little bit powerless. And
Yeah.
I think, definitely some of those core wounds, when those get brushed up against, which they do, we talk about them like there's a bruise there. And although somebody pushes that bruise, the wound happened a while ago. The actual thing that happened was a while ago, but when you push on that bruise, it's like, ouch, it still hurts. even though it didn't inflict the wound, it still hurts. And when those get pushed, it's really easy to feel powerless and in some ways want to get that power back. And sometimes we aggressively get that back through a power over kind of mentality. It's a natural response sometimes. If we and that's the whole thing, is like to be able to respond in a way that's more empowering. It comes from the everyday little moments, the everyday practice. You can't practice in those moments when stuff is gonna rush at you and you're gonna get your bruises all hit. It's
Right.
the practices outside of those things. It's this everyday little feelings and groundedness and recognizing thoughts, those kind of things. And so I say practice because it is. I don't know if we'll ever be perfect at it. Who knows? I don't know
Right.
too many people that are perfect at it.
No, that's the human experience, is to
Yeah.
like get in and out of power, probably.
Yeah.
But that inner power. So I keep thinking about an episode of Grey's Anatomy, and I think this is in other places too. And this girl's about to go do surgery, and she does the superhero pose. Have you seen that?
Yes. Yeah.
And I think of that all the time when I think about getting in my power, standing in that superhero pose.
Yes.
And what does that represent? Like, to me,
Mm.
that represents those things that superheroes are good at. What are they
Yeah.
good at? They're good
Mm.
at justice, meaning like they can see both sides usually, I think.
Yeah.
Strength,
Mm.
physical strength, but also I see, isn't it like the superhero's duty to how do I say this the right way? To not overuse their strength
Yeah.
way. Well, I don't know. The Avengers totally did it. They just tried to 3 times.
Wow.
But yeah, I don't know. What do you think a superhero's qualities are that we can emulate in those
Mm.
moments of powerlessness?
Yeah, I mean, a superhero definitely thinks about more than themselves in the moment, like it's the greater good, you
Yeah.
know. Um, but yet at the same time that they're helping the greater good, they're also using all that they have available. They're owning their power. Do you know what I mean? They're not like, well, maybe I'll help, like they're full on strength. And yet at the same time, they're doing it for the humanity of everybody, for the love of everybody, So it's there is a balance there because I think you can go to the extreme of helping other people and forgetting yourself and being very powerless. That's not empowerment if but the reverse is just is the same. So somewhere, to have a piece of both of those, I think is really important to in fact, that's where the word empowerment comes from. And so, we've been having the little fun COVID going through our family, so it's my turn. You can hear my voice. But so I've been binge watching Junior Bake Off, like, great Bake Off, the junior version,
Oh my gosh, I love that. They're just always so kind.
So kind.
I know, I love that show. It makes me have faith in humanity again.
Yes. And that's to me, like, when so as I'm watching it and thinking about this podcast, I'm like, to me, that's superpower, to be, because they're there doing their thing, but they empower the other people. If they're done, they go help the other person. If the person asks a question, they say, here, do it like this, I mean, and I just feel like watching that I see that they don't feel like they're lacking power at all, and yet, because they're empowering each other and they're competitive, they're even competing, and yet they still empower each other. And it's just, to me, that's like another level of power that we often think the opposite, is the way it should be, or the way that it is. It's like, oh, I'm competing with that person,
So if I can take something from them, it will add to my power. Where in reality, when you're adding power to someone else, it adds power to you. You can't help it. But
yes. Yeah. In fact, so, Brene Brown has a thing. I'm going to put a link in the notes because you can download this PDF. It's really interesting, and it's mostly for leaders, but she's talking about a power over position versus a power with, a power to, and a power within. Very different kind of experiences. But she says, so a power over move is to believe that power is finite and use fear to protect and hoard power. So that's that power over. It's like I got to have this, there's a desperation there. Like, if somebody's going to take away my power if I don't take their power, or that kind of thing.
Or there's its only amount if I got to take it for something. Yeah.
Yes. So a power with position, they believe that power becomes infinite and expands when shared with others, like almost the total opposite. And like, that's what I found in the Great Baker Show, the Junior Baker Show, is like, it's true. Like, when they shared, they became more powerful. I think that was, it was just, I mean, they didn't even talk about it, but you could just see it in real time. So power over leverage fear to divide, destabilize, devalue, and they are worried about being weak, kind of things like that, where the power with, they leverage connection and empathy to unite and stabilize. They value a function of self-respect and respect for others. And I think that's it. That's really important.
I've had bosses that do both, that have done each of those things. And yeah, they're both are effective, honestly. But the one makes you one kind of person, the other one makes you another kind of person. I think that first one destroys your worthiness, and you only feel worthy when you're doing what that person in power is telling you what to do.
Yes.
The second one, I'm at my most creative self when I have a boss like that second one, because it empowers me to just go over and above, or just feel like I'm capable, rather than like worthy versus worthless.
And I always want to ask, like with it, like maybe in a like with a lie detector on, like to say to that first boss, like, do you feel powerful? You know what I mean? Because I bet they don't feel powerful, even though they have that power over mentality, I bet you they deal a lot with feeling powerless. Because if
Yeah.
it's something that you're always chasing, I don't know if you ever catch it. It's
Yeah.
not until you stand there and allow it to be where you are, that you actually become powerful. And so, it'd be interesting to see if it's like, do you feel powerful? Because I feel like it's like sometimes there's family dynamics. When I work with clients, I see sometimes this a lot in family dynamics where they'll have like they'll tell me, this is what my sister said or brother said or whatever. And their answer is, so I said, and they have this great comeback. You know what I mean? Or it's like, the thing is if you play the game, if you're going to just have good comebacks, then you're going to get hit. You know what I mean? Like, how can we change the dynamic of the relationship so that we don't play those games? And sometimes the family dynamics, I have one client, the family dynamics, that's just the way that it is. Like you're always on the hook to find a way to be power over, and you kind of get this, like, yeah, got him. But then you're also going to have those moments where you're the loser, and
Yeah.
and it's like really hard to step out of that. I get that because the worst thing in those family dynamics is to be the loser, right? You don't want to be the loser. But
That's really tricky because if you're consistently the loser, then that's abuse, right? If
right.
someone's consistently trying to like beat you with words or whatever. So yeah, then if you are in your personal power, then you can say like whatever they're saying does not matter to me, right?
Right.
You're just saying like, thanks for telling me that. I don't care,
Right.
instead of coming with that comeback. But gosh, to get to that place, especially in a family dynamic where you can have that personal power
Yeah.
or stand in that and be okay with their opinion, knowing it's not your opinion,
Yeah.
that takes practice.
Well, I think in those moments, like I get it's hard because we go into that automatic, we go into those roles, those automatic roles, So I don't blame anybody in the moment for not being able to make that change. It's
Right.
difficult. It's difficult. But if we can practice, the thing to do there is not to come up with and not just to take it and stare at it.
Yeah.
But the thing to do is to ask, did you mean to make me feel like, are you meaning for this to be a competition?
Oh, geez.
Are you
That's a
wanting
good
this?
one.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Are you wanting us to compete here? It sounds to me like there's some competition happening. Did I get that right? It's asking the
Oh,
questions,
wow.
or even just the other thing you can do. I saw a video on this other day. I don't know if I could find it again, but he was talking a little bit about these things, and he said, at the very least, you can count to 4, do a 4-second stare, just 4 seconds of staring, because you're just trying to change the energy, because we have this ping pong, ping pong, ping pong.
Yeah.
But if you can just pause for a couple seconds and then remember these questions, like, I feel like we're kind of, things are kind of, we're kind of, that kind of felt hurtful to me. Did you mean for that to be hurtful?
Oh my,
And
I wish I could remember all of this in the moments because there's so many moments like that.
yeah,
Wow.
but that's why you have it, like you write it on your hand if you have to.
I know. I'm gonna write it on my eyelid, so I just have to close my
Yeah,
eyes.
because it works because, because and because the thing is what's happening in slow motion, if we can slow it down, is really, and I don't know, maybe you could use the word power, but a bunch of energy is hitting us, right? Like when they say something like that, we feel it like this.
Yeah.
And then that's why there's that, then our body has a reaction to it. And a lot of us, um, I'm probably more in this boat. I built up that like quick snap back, right? Like that's how I adapted to it, was like I can think really quickly and snap back, or I can give a look, like I'm really good at that, like kind of, you know, that sharpness. I can handle that sharpness. You know, I even thought about going to law school. Like, yeah, I'd love to argue with you, you know.
Yeah.
But I understand that a lot of people, that's not how the way it is. So it just comes in and then it just overtakes, right? And it's just, ugh. And then because that power feels like it feels like a hit, it feels then our thoughts start to say that, yeah, that's right, I am weak. Here's all these, you know, and it starts going on the whole thing like why we kind of deserve that, or why that's true, or why can't we be better? What's wrong with me? Da 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 da. Why can't? Or, you know, or we like, you know, maybe we just freeze in the moment, and then later we're just like, I don't like that person, which makes sense. You know, it makes sense, but that's why it's like so much more empowering to ask questions in those moments. As much practice as you can do to be able to say, are we, you know, just whatever question it is to ask, because 9 times out of 10, if you say, "Did you mean that to be hurtful?" They're gonna say, what? No, you know what I mean? They're gonna like stutter the daylights out of themselves, and then it's not going to be too much time before those dynamics change. In fact, I'll give you an example. My husband had this relationship that was predictable. You know, it was predictable, and this person came over, and we had this new car. We had bought a new car, and he made like just a sarcastic comment about it. It's typical, you know, but this time he said, you know, he said that, you know, it sounds like you're kind of dogging my car. You know, is that right? And of course, you know, the stuttering, I just didn't know. I didn't know I said that, you know, da 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 da. In fact, he might have even talked to him later. It might not even been in the moment.
Okay.
Which can happen. And I don't know if they've talked since then.
Wow.
Like it's just kind of like, what? And this was a relationship where it was an ongoing thing where they played this game, and my husband always had to end up, you know, he always had to for the relationship to continue, he always had to be the underdog type of guy.
Well, I was just going to say that if I could draw a cartoon of this experience, either with your husband and the neighbor, or the siblings fighting, what I would draw is the person who's the antagonist having energy coming off of them like in waves, right? And it's just trying to hit that person for whatever reason. But then the person who's gonna ask the question of saying like, did you really mean that? Almost what that seems to me to do is like create this boundary,
Mhm.
and it encapsulates them in their personal power, right?
Yes.
That energy can do nothing to them. That power dynamic doesn't exist anymore because they have their own, and they're
Mhm.
standing in their own. And so I don't know where the energy is going to go for the other person, but like what a beautiful way to think about yourself when you're in a situation like that of like, hold on a second. That give you that 4 second stare to like
Mhm.
stand in that power, you know, envision yourself in that superhero mode,
Yeah.
and say, you know, I heard this is what I heard. Is that what you meant? Or however, you always have better words to say that. But to me, that is night and day,
Yeah.
like the perfect way to illustrate those two power dynamics that you were just describing from Brene Brown.
If you're feeling a calling to move past your limitations and become the best version of yourself, you're ready for a pure human breakthrough. Don't miss your chance to join Greg Braden, best-selling author, teacher, and pioneer in bridging science and spirituality, for a 4-day intensive retreat in beautiful Nanaimo on Vancouver Island, British Columbia, October 18th to 21st. You will do deep work with Greg and participants from around the world in exploring your divinity as a human. Register now at shalohaproductions.com.
Yeah, I think just to add on to that for a second, like the book, The Four Agreements, which is the one that's most popular. And then there's a book called The Fifth Agreement where he adds another one. And the Fifth Agreement, you could kind of read that by itself because he kind of goes over the Fifth Agreement. In fact, I did an episode on almost like every chapter. I did so back in time, go listen to those. But I'm telling you, the thing that was just mind blowing to me about the concepts of the four agreements is that everything we do in this world is just an agreement. You know, the color of my shirt, what we're going to call it, we just agree. You know what I mean? Like there's a difference between it being true and an agreement. And so the way that we show up in relationships is all based on agreement. And so we can change those agreements. You know what I mean? So it's like, so when someone says, you know, oh, this person just makes me this or this and this, like there's been an agreement that, you know, I'm going to show up this way and they're going to show up that way, but let's change those agreements. And that book just blew that open for me, like so much, because I could, you know, I could show you like a leaf and I could say tree and you would know what I'm talking about. Like we would be able to communicate because of the agreements, not because the leaf is a tree, not because TREE has value. Do you know what I mean? Like it's all agreements. And so that book kind of just like took everything and just flattened it out to nothing. Like it's like it just took all these agreements and went kaboom. And then you kind of go, okay, what do I agree? What is the agreements? You know, what
So
are the
agreeing on your
agreements?
own terms. You're
You
agreeing
kind
on
of
your
agreed on your own terms. He says, these are the only things you need to really agree on. Number one, be impeccable with your words. So speak with integrity, say only what you want to say, avoid speaking against yourself and gossiping about others, and use the power of your word to move in the direction of truth and love. So just be with your, you know, so again, back to that, those other power dynamics with your family, and, you know, I mean, to me, that is speaking with integrity when you say, did you mean for that to come across as rude? You know, did you mean for that? To me, that's impeccable. You're saying the truth versus just assuming they mean it mean. You know what I mean? You're getting clear.
I think that builds a relationship too. Like
I
that
think it
helps.
builds a relationship. Yeah. It's not a comeback.
No.
It's more like, hey, is this, you know, because who knows what's happening in their world, you know, who knows?
Yeah.
So be impeccable with your word. Two, don't take anything personally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes me uncomfortable. That's
I
my
know,
whole
right?
life.
It's hard. Yeah. It says you are never responsible for the actions of others.
Oh my.
What others say and do is a projection of their own reality and their own dream. Like he talks a lot about living in a dream world. When you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you will stop being the victim of unnecessary suffering. So yeah, it's hard to not take it personally. But he tells in the fifth agreement, he gives this really powerful visualization. He says, imagine you're in a movie theater and you're watching this movie and you're seeing the movie of your life, you know, and it's interesting. And then you get up and go into another theater and all of a sudden you realize it's the same. It's like your life, but you're seeing it from another person's point of view. And like, you don't even look like yourself. You don't sound like yourself. It's like a totally different perspective of things, you know? And so we have to understand that like, everybody's having their own perspective of things. And so,
when you were saying that, I was thinking of there's a movie it's a really bad movie, but it talks about that. Like everybody has like a camera in their brain or something, and so when they die, they show a movie of their life as they experienced it. But I think when you were saying that, what I was thinking of is you see two people's version of the same experience, and
yeah,
they would both be right. You'd be like, yeah, that's right, and the other person would be like, yeah, that's right. No matter how the other person took it, I don't know if I'm explaining that correctly,
yeah.
but that's a really interesting way to think about it.
Yeah. And so when you think about it from that terms, like taking it personally, it's like there's no way I can take it personally because I don't have the power to be in there. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I can't control what they think about it. I can't how they feel about it or what they're saying because I'm not even in that. I'm not the center of their movie, you know, like that kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
and then number 3 is don't make assumptions. Find the courage to ask and express what you really want. I think that goes to that thing, you know, like ask. Communicate as clearly as you can in order to avoid misunderstanding and dramas, sadness and dramas. I mean, that's the question. Ask the questions. Like, don't assume. Like we assume the person means and we probably have a lot of evidence that that person, is out to get us. But let's make sure. Let's get some clarity and ask.
Right.
Number 4 is always do the best that you can. The maximum that you can do from one moment to another might be different. So let's say, you're always giving 100%, but sometimes your 100% isn't the same as the day before, like just always do your best. You're just doing your best. That's all you can do. And just avoid any judgment about that. And then the 5th one was be skeptical, but learn to listen. So don't believe yourself or anyone else. That's what he says. Use the power of doubt to question everything you hear. Is it really the truth? And then listen to the intent behind the words, and you will understand the real message. I think that was super powerful because, yeah, when something comes in, I think there's like, did you ever watch? I like The Good Wife, and then there was the spinoff called The Good Fight. Did you not ever watch The Good Wife?
No.
Oh, okay, you're gonna binge it. You've got to watch it.
All right, I'm in.
Because they're lawyers, and this like feeds me like this. I love a good argument, but they're lawyers, but they know how to pause. When somebody asks them a question, there's a pause, and then they answer just more intellectual, they don't react. They don't have a reaction because they can't. They have to, that's the whole point of being this lawyer, is like creating an argument. But you'll have to watch that and see what you think. Because but I love watch. I like that the character Alicia. It starts the first scene. Her husband's like the senator or the governor, and he's in a scandal, and all of a sudden her life is turned upside down, just completely. And you can see how that's probably affects her, but she's a trained lawyer that she hasn't been practicing for lots of years. But you have to take in information, and then and that's what this is. You take in the information and you kind of listen for what the truth is inside yourself, and then you respond. And instead of just taking everything that comes at you as truth, I find that a lot with clients that have narcissistic spouses. I have to say to them over and over again, just because they say it doesn't mean it's true. Because it's really, really hard. Things that they say, they're always so, these spouses are usually like, I'm going to take you to court and you're never going to have this again. And you're just, and they're like, and it's like, just because he said that, it's not going to happen. A judge isn't going to hear she's mean, so take the kids away. Like, that's not going to happen. But they're so used to feeling, just so disempowered by this person that you believe it. It's like, don't.
When you're disempowered, then you are susceptible to believing everything. Is that kind of what you're saying? Like,
it's like someone else, whatever anybody else says, you get a chance to feel if it's true for you. There needs to be that space there for the information to come in, and then feel like, is that true for me? And then
that pause again.
And then, the pause. Yeah. And then that's where your values come in, knowing what your values are, because they're not, most decisions or most relationships are not just, this feeds me and everything's great. It's usually a mix of, it's usually difficult things and wonderful things.
Right.
Or there's choices between two great things. It's like, which one are you going to choose? It's like, it's not as simple as a good and a bad. Like, I wish things are not black and white. No. Things are not black and white, but anyway, I'm going to put the link to this Brene Brown thing in, because I think it's just really interesting to see if, to recognize the ways that we power over. And I don't know, I just want to say, and maybe I'm wrong, but I just think maybe sometimes we default to this power over mentality when we think about power. We think we have to like be so powerful that someone else can't hurt me, which is, so there's a difference between that boundary of empowerment and a wall that doesn't let anybody in. It's really easy to go to the wall in self-preservation, but self-preservation isn't powerful.
No.
If you've got to
You're
self-preserve,
still a victim. You're still a victim.
right? If you have to self-preserve, you are agreeing that they have power over you.
That's interesting. And I think that it's easier, should I say, and maybe we're just more practiced in it to have power over someone because it is so automatic, right? We can see the
Yeah.
effects of it really fast. Where
Yes.
when you're empowered, it's a little more gentle
Mhm.
feeling. It's not as an attacking. I don't know. And
I've been thinking about, usually we put people on us, like we make them our heroes, or we admire people that have gone through something difficult and it didn't let them stop them. Like these are like these champion stories. It's like they went through this difficult thing and they do it anyway. And I can understand, I'm super proud of those people and really have a lot of respect for those people. But sometimes I think it's the message that we send is that when we have an obstacle, we have to be strong enough or powerful enough to overcome it, or else we're weak. And I don't know if that's always the case. To me, I think empowerment is, going back to those agreements, it's really about what really is going on and being true about what's really going on.
okay.
Because I know that, I just think, I think when I think about it, I was thinking about it the other day. I'm like, it's like the way it was like a motivational way of doing it. It's like, I grew up here. I didn't have this when I grew up and I made all this money, or I grew up, and it's like these motivational speakers or type people are telling about how they lacked and then they created.
Okay.
And I just think that maybe we're that's old energy, that's old technology. Like I wonder if, like, I think that to me that used to work for me too. Like it was like, okay, that's so great. But then I'm not going to have their same exact problems, right? I'm not going to have their same exact problems when I have something come in my life that's difficult, and I can't just push it aside and push through. Then I feel disempowered. I feel like powerless. And so I don't know if if that's the best way of empowerment anymore. Just to say, no matter what, you just pile through, you just fight through, you just don't let it get you down. You just go, go, go. And I think there's room for that, but I also think I think it's very empowering to also feel your feelings, for a minute, if nothing. Maybe you don't sit and wallow there. We've talked about this as we've chatted back and forth, but like, to have someone you can at least be with, someone that could, like, you can tell, like, this is really hard, this is a struggle, and they hear you and they are with you in those moments. I think that can be a lot more empowering than just not letting it get to me, because I don't know if it's possible to not let it get to me.
I think if I understand what you're saying is you're saying just power through all the hard things and just keep pushing through, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Just,
that's what Deadpool said.
oh,
So
yeah.
that one part, because he said, are we just going to start pushing through and not feel our emotions and get autoimmune diseases? He said something similar to that because that you're missing that important component of feeling the feelings
Yeah.
and sitting in it for just you don't have to sit in it forever
Right.
because
You don't
that's
want
not
to.
healthy.
Yeah. That's not
No.
healthy either.
And maybe that's what true resilience is not, you're just not pushing through and forgetting about what happened, but you're feeling all the feelings, you're going through it, and then you're getting to the other side.
Yeah.
Yes. I have a Brene Brown quote. So if you
Okay,
get your,
good. Yeah.
and maybe this is actually the other side of it. So see if you feel like this, because we can cut this part out. But
Yeah.
it says you either walk inside your story and own it, or you stand outside and hustle for your worthiness.
Yeah.
So
And
I think that's what it's saying.
yeah, that's what it says
Exactly
to
what you're
me.
saying.
Yeah, because like if I yeah, to like if I'm having a hard time, my story is I'm having a hard time. That's the truth. And what those motivational things will say is to say, don't believe the truth, create a different truth, which is can happen a few minutes later. You've got to, or sometime later, you've got to know the truth of what's really happening. We have to know the truth. The truth is, this is a difficult thing. How do I feel about it? Because sometimes how I feel about it, which is probably what these motivational people have done, their true, genuine feeling about it was, I'm not going to let this get me. That was their true, genuine feeling. They didn't conjure it up. That was like, this is not going to take me down. And that was a powerful thing to have. But to me, if in that moment, my feeling is, I feel like this is going to take me out, then I need to feel that I need to be like, what, I need to investigate that. I need to follow that a little bit. Like, first of all, to know that's how I'm feeling right now. I feel like this is going to take me out, and maybe that's when you reach out to someone and say, and that's another Brene Brown thing is, it's like, if I reach out and say, I think this is going to take me down, and somebody says, well, you're not going to let that happen, are you? Like that, there's not an empathetic response. Like, I can feel that that's big for you. What else? Tell me more. Like that's such a better way to communicate. Or if I say something like, I don't know if I'm going to do this, or like, I don't know if I'm going to make I don't know if I'm going to get this job promotion. And then your friend's like, well, if you don't, just da da da, and they come up with this scenario, this answer that's not directly, and it's not pinpointing your emotions. It's not empathetic in the emotions. It's just this power through kind of thing. Like, it's just, well, you're not gonna let that get you down, are you? Kind of a thing. And it's like, I just don't know if that's useful anymore. I feel like we've moved through that. So I'm so glad that Deadpool has said that, because that what he is referring to is the ACE score, which is a real live scientific method of recognizing that these difficult things in our lives really do have, that's what they do create autoimmune disease, like the emotion. And I think that makes sense, because it's like fighting against ourselves. We're like feeling this way and we just deny it. We just deny that what the truth is and push forward. And I think that's not empowering. I think it, like, honestly, I think it worked. I don't know what changed. I think it worked, but I think it's just kind of like 1980s technology. It's like, yeah, we had computers in the 80s, but would you want to work with the computer in the 80s now? No, we have newer technology. And in the past, it was like, pull yourself together, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, work hard, keep going no matter what, try harder. And I think it's not that that's useless. I just think we just have a little bit different, more refined technology now, I would say, where it's just like, okay, how am I feeling? And then responding to that real life truth of what's going on. And so to me, that's powerful, to really listen to what's going on.
Yeah, I think so. And I've been thinking about, like, why now? Why the energy now? And I was thinking about, like, the 1950s, and to me that was like, grit your teeth and bear it. We're going to get through it, right? The 60s were, oh, we're still feeling this way. Okay, let's numb it out with drugs.
Right. Totally.
We got LSD. We're having the 80s, we went back to the hard work, right? With the yuppie.
Yeah.
And so now we have all of this generational stuff. And I think it's just compounded and compounded and compounded. And finally, we're like, okay, we've tried the drugs. We've tried, the hard work. Why aren't we feeling better? Well, we've got to explore some other reasons. And I think you're coming up with some really good ideas energetically, that we're seeing many modalities come out to help us deal with some things, because the hard work wasn't working. The drugs weren't working. And here we are, we're foot sounding, and we're Reiki, and we're doing all those things. And
it's more about going into the issue instead of just not letting it get to you. Like that, it used to be like, I'm not going to let that get to me. But we do, like, it's when you think about it on an energetic level, you can't stop the energy from coming. You know what I mean? The energy is there. And I can create that energetic boundary maybe, but I can't just ignore that energy. I can't ignore it.
Right.
It's there.
It's like the
People's,
flood. The flood's
yeah,
coming. Yeah, what are you
yep,
gonna do? You
yep.
can't
And
stop it.
and that's the thing. You're right. We've used all kinds of methods to numb out, to make to and I think we use what we really use is our bodies. Our bodies take in that energy and just have to process it, and then we're unwell in all different kinds of ways. So I
So then
think it is,
finding our power then helps us. That's what is that the key then? Is finding our power and that resilience, or is it bigger than that?
I really do. I think so. In my training with IFS, that biggest self, has that is that internal power. And it is a power that just, when you're at your best self, when there's the anxiety is not there because there's you can see options. You're creative and you can see different options, when there's some calmness to it, because it's like, that is something, if there's something difficult, it's like there's that difficulty. What can we do about that? And there's not this intensity about it. It's a little
Mhm.
bit more calm and curious. It's like, okay, that's where that problem's there. What are some ways that we can combat that problem? And we have more curiosity, and developing that sense of self is the key. That's where our most power comes from. Go back and listen to our Inside Out 2 episode where we talk about that sense of self. Because I mean, that the thing is just like in that book, The Fifth Agreement, my movie, all I can do is control my movie. My movie will show up for me. I am such a creator. I am so powerful. You are too. Life will show up in with our perspectives. So I give this example. Let's say I walked around all day long and I had like toilet paper stuck to the back of my shirt. Now, if I knew my toilet paper, if I came home and I saw that, oh my gosh, I had toilet paper on the back of my shirt the whole entire day. Could you imagine? Could feel those sensations in your body?
Oh
What
yeah.
that feel like? You're like, oh
Oh,
my gosh, I
why am
feel
I so
like an
funny?
idiot. Oh my gosh. Now let's say I went through the whole day, I had the toilet paper on my back. And then just as I was opening the door, the wind caught off and it blew off. And I never knew that I'd had that on my back the whole day. I don't have those opinions. I don't have those. So it's only my beliefs that affect my life. Like it's my attention. It's my, I didn't. So what I see, whether that's literally or whether that's my perspective, that's what life will show up as. And if you want to do an experiment, you can say it. You can do an experiment like say, okay, today I'm going to notice yellow cars is what the first one I did, or I'm going to notice, something just, I'm going to notice, green lights, and then start counting them up. And like, there's a million, you're going to see a ton because you have decided your intention is there. So you become a creator because what you focus on expands, like literally and figuratively. And so the power is practicing seeing what we want to see, and it's not about, again, it's not about, this whole like, I'm going to think about, I'm going to get $1 million. I am going to get $1 million. Like, I'm going to get $1 million. It's like um when you're connected to that self in that powerful place, it's like, it'll be interesting how that comes about, that $1 million I'm going to get, you know I can't wait to
Yeah.
see how that creates for me. And it's just a totally different energy, a totally different feeling. It's not just sitting back and saying, not doing anything, but it's a totally different feeling than like chasing it, like the hustle, like she said, like like Brene Brown said, I love it, the hustle. Yeah, we hustle a lot for our worth.
We
That's
do.
not powerful. That's
Oh,
not,
that's opposite. That's powerlessness because you're
yeah.
searching for it. Yeah.
I'll ask a question. What would it take for you, any out there, anybody listening, what would it take for you to feel powerful? And like,
Yeah.
think about that, write that down. What would it take? Because whatever shows up, and let whatever show up, because it'll take you down some interesting, if you stay curious, some interesting places where maybe some power got taken away. And there's an exercise that I usually do a lot of times with clients where you can just sit there, you calm yourself down, take some deep breaths, and like you just imagine that your body is becomes like a magnet, and all the parts that were taken, all the power that was taken from you just comes back, and just feel it return to you. And I have to do that a lot myself, just bring back my power, bring back parts of myself, all those feelings, like that feeling of walking in with the toilet paper on my back. I lost power. All of a sudden I've agreed that I've lost power to all of those people I talked to, even though I'm assuming, maybe they didn't even see it. I don't know. But I mean, I have given my power away in that moment because I'm like thinking of myself as a lesser person. So bring that back, allow that to come back. And if you can't, if it feels like, you're just like, I can't, I'm having a hard time right now, then just think, okay, I'm going to try again later. Just say,
that's
okay,
power. To me, that is power, saying like, it's not a one or done.
Right. I love it. Yeah, I love it.
When most people are asked what they want, they will answer, I want to be happy. But happy takes practice. And that's what the Wholeness Library is all about. So check it out free at thewholenessnetwork.com.